Pixar characters. But did you know that he now is set to hit the road to encourage students and their parents to reconsider careers in the skilled trades? Why is he doing that? Why not ask him? John Ratzenberger joins me now. Hi, John.
Hey, Ashley, thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, gosh, it's good to see you. First of all, you know, I'm that person who watched all of your Pixar characters before I even had kids. Like, I had favorite movies that you were in before I should have been watching animated, you know, movies in the theater. So I'm thrilled to see you in person and be able to talk to you. But then you have this whole other side that's all about helping Americans to realize that there is more to life and work than just going to college. I want you to tell me a little bit about how you ended up, you know, behind this message.
Certainly. I grew up in a factory town, Bridgeport, Connecticut, and everybody had skills, whether it was carpentry or machinists or mechanics. It didn't make any difference, but everybody had tools and they knew how to use them. So that's the way I grew up. Remember at 14, I decided I wanted to learn how to build a house and everything in it. And I did. So I was a carpenter when I graduated college. I mean, that's what I set off to do. And I was a very well-read carpenter, but nonetheless. And as a matter of fact, I was one of the carpenters that built the stage at Woodstock, the Woodstock Festival. But after that, I went over to England to visit a friend of mine from college, and I was going to stay a week. I ended up staying 10 years. And that's where I started my career. We toured our comedy shows throughout Europe for, you know, at least 8 of those years. So that was, you know, but that's what kept me alive was my carpentry skills. And you know, having kids of my own, they're in their 30s now. But I brought them up in and around tools just like I was, because I said, that's how you learn. You become more of a complete human being if you can do things. And I always counseled my children and anybody who stands still long enough to listen, get a skill that you own. You know, whether it's making cakes, cutting hair, doing sculptures, whatever it is, but own the skill. That way, you'll always have a job. Like with my carpentry skills, for instance.
Let me tell you something. When I found out that you were, you know, I think driving a tractor and building the stage at Woodstock, I thought, holy cow, that had to be one of the most amazing experiences for you. But then there was this little anecdote below it saying that you weren't into it. You weren't into the music or those kinds of people. But I think you were like 21 years old. So help me understand that.
Well, it was a job. I was doing a carpentry job in a town about 60 miles away when we got word that, hey, there's some kind of music festival going on and they're looking for help. So I went down and stood in line, and next thing I know, I've got the keys to a tractor and I'm hauling goods from one end to the other and picking stuff up and moving things around. And then I started swinging a hammer. And so my experience in Woodstock, I was backstage, so I wasn't front of the stage. I didn't get stoned. I don't even think I drank because, you know, I'm operating heavy machinery. So that was my Woodstock experience. But I remember thinking that, boy, when we unleash these people on the world into our legal system, educational system, we're gonna be paying for it, because I think that's where it all started, was Woodstock. And lo and behold, here that, you know, about 40 years ago they canceled shop courses, the educational system. So a lot of kids who aren't college bound graduate with no skills whatsoever, which I think is a crying shame, because we're really desperate for welders, plumbers, carpenters, truck drivers even. In fact, like the RV industry, you know, we see RVs all the time taken for granted. They're desperate for workers. They'll even pay for your move to wherever they build their RVs and teach you the skills. That's how desperate they are right now.
So you must be, thrilled, and not even to get into the politics of it, just knowing that this is a passion of yours to try to educate Americans that these skilled trades, like Mike Rowe. I mean, Mike Rowe really wants Americans to know that skilled trades are great jobs. That, Joe Biden has been talking about investing millions and millions of dollars into the apprenticeship programs, and yet there's still the politicization of the spending the money and using tax dollars. How do you fall on that one?
Well, they're making a mistake in putting a lot of money into infrastructure repair that we desperately need. I mean, look what happened in Mexico City last night, and that's going to be happening here within our lifetimes of things collapsing. But what they're losing sight of is they can pour all the money they want to into the repair, but we don't have the people to show up and actually do the repairs. The welders, I mean, you talk to anybody who works in a big construction company, people that are building skyscrapers or highways or airports, and they'll tell you they're desperate because the average age of those workers in 5 years, 68% will be retired. So you could have all the money in the world and say, let's get this done, but try to find a bricklayer.
So do you think that I said millions, and I lost an M for a B. $48 billion is the infrastructure investment, and this is usually the soft infrastructure for workforce development, and that would be the trades development. So that must sound like a pretty good idea to you, even though there are a lot more investments in childcare and education as well that some people don't find as part of the infrastructure. That part of the infrastructure plan must be music to your ears.
Well, it is if they do it the right way. It's simple. Just reinstate what we called shop classes and home ec classes back in the middle schools. That's all they have to do, because it gives the kids a taste of what it's like. I mean, how many kids graduate high school now that don't know how to read a ruler? You can try that. Find a high school graduate, friend or relative or whatever, and show them a tape measure and say, show me 5 1/4 inches. And they can't do it, because where in your school, all the subjects you take, would you actually be using a tape measure? Nowhere. Except shop classes or home ec classes. Then you get to know measurement and angles, and you're better at math because of the angles and the degrees and all the other things that go along with working with your hands, of actually picking up a tool and shaping something out of nothing. Aside from all the pride you